Do you know you can modify your Redux store default behavior? Yes, we can do so. But why do we need to do such things? Let's understand with a basic scenario. Suppose you want to log the state and the action before and after the dispatch call is made to the store. What you will do? Going by the new approach, we will place a log statement which will capture the action and the state just before the dispatch call is made, and we will place the same log statement again once the dispatch call is made. That's all we will do, right? But this approach has a shortcoming. The solution is not going to scale very well because on the next dispatch you will do the same thing throughout your application, right? So we will be repeating a lot of code. So is there any clean alternative? Yes, there is a clean alternative in the Redux, and that is what we are going to discuss in this video. So we are going to talk about store enhancers, which basically enhance the default behavior of the store. It can modify the store APIs, dispatch, get state. So in this scenario, we can make use of apply middleware store enhancer, which enhance the default behavior of dispatch method, and it accept a number of middleware functions which it will execute in a defined order just before the store dispatch method is called. It will basically wrap the original store dispatch method with some additional functionality, additional behavior, and that additional behavior is related to calling all the middleware functions which you pass to the apply middleware in a defined order, and then it calls the actual dispatch method of the store. So this way we can make use of these middleware functions to log something. So let me show you our store implementation. We have this file store.js, and here we have our create store implementation. As you know, create store provides some methods which we can make use of to read state from the store and to make update to the store. And these are dispatch, get state, and subscribe, right? So we will modify this implementation to accept one more parameter in the create store, that is enhancer. So as you can see, we have added the enhancer as third parameter to the create store, and based on if enhancer is available as the third argument, then we will call it and we will pass it create store, reducer, and preload state. So now enhancer will be responsible for creating the store by calling this create store method, and it will decorate any of the store APIs like dispatch, get state, or subscribe. So let's move to the apply middleware. So this is one of the store enhancer which Redux provides out of the box. So I have added a basic implementation of apply middleware. So this is just a work in progress. We will further improve it and we will make it exactly what the original apply middleware looks like. So what we do here, from the store we are calling out the enhancer, passing it all the relevant parameters. In the apply middleware we will first create store, and then we will decorate one of the APIs. So apply middleware basically enhance the dispatch method, and it put some logs here, right? So this is what we were trying to achieve, logging state and action, and just before the dispatch and after the dispatch call is made to the store. So if you go back to the main.js, you will see I have commented out all the log statements, and I have passed this apply middleware to the create store. So now if you see in the browser console, you will find the logs are generated here for every action. So these two logs are generated for the increment. You see the state changes after the increment, and similar logs are generated for the another action to do, add to do, right? So this is anyhow very much cleaner as compared to the previous approach where we had to manually put these log statements on every dispatch, right? So we can get rid of these at least now. But this version of apply middleware is very rigid. We have hard coded our enhancement within the dispatch. which we should not do. Rather, we should accept all the enhancement to the dispatch via some functions, via some parameters, and we should execute those functions before executing the original store dispatch. Apply middleware will accept now a middleware function, and all our logic to log state and action is wrapped inside this middleware function. And this middleware function now will intercept all your actions dispatched to the store, right? So what we are doing here, we are calling the middleware, providing it access to the store, and it return back new version of the dispatch which we can return back to the create store. So now let's see what is written inside this middleware and understand it. So in the main.js, you will find we are passing this logger middleware function to this store enhancer apply middleware. And here you can see need access to the store, and it return back a function having the same signature as that of dispatch. It accept the action, and it does its work to log the state before dispatch and after dispatch, right? So let's test our solution with more than one middleware functions. I am accepting another middleware here, middleware 2. Now you will see how we are setting up the linking of middlewares here, right? So what I do, I call the middleware 1 and give it access to the store, and the next middleware function in the middleware chain will be provided by this middleware 2, right? So now middleware 1 is linked to middleware 2 like this. And what about middleware 2? What it should call next? So we have no middleware functions in the middleware chain now, right? We only have two, one middleware 1 and middleware 2. So it should finally call store dispatch. So through this we have set up the linking. So now when you calling the dispatch on the store, you are actually calling middleware 1, which will call middleware 2, and that will finally call original store dispatch, and that will result in the state update. So let's test our solution, how it is working when two middlewares are passed to the apply middleware. Go to main.js. So first we will have to make the changes in our middleware implementation. So for now it is hard coded to always run the dispatch of the store, right? But that is not the case. It is supposed to call the next middleware in the chain, right? Which it will capture in the next parameter here. So what we do here, instead of calling store.dispatch, we have to call next. So next points to the next middleware function in the middleware chain, right? And we will define one more middleware function here. Okay, and we just simply place a log here just to know like it's coming from the middleware 1, and we will pass it to the apply middleware. So here we have two middleware functions, one and logger. So now it should be linked in such a way, middleware 1 calling 2 and then finally calling the dispatch. So let's have a look on the logs. First log is coming from the middleware 1, and the next two logs are coming from the second middleware, that is logger, and the same middleware chain execute again for the next dispatch. But again, if you see, the solution is still hard coded for fixed number of middleware functions, right? But in a normal application you can pass any number of middleware functions, right? So how we will automate this process of linking? For that we will have to develop a utility which can does this linking of middlewares in a middleware chain, right? So let me show you a utility which I have written, compose.js. Yes. So what compose.js does, it accept an array of functions and it basically link those functions together. So to link one function to another, we basically use reduce. We call reduce on the function and we return this function. Okay, to make it even easier, let me give you an example. So let's say we have these three middleware functions, m1, m2 and m3, right? And also you will notice the structure, I have changed it a little bit. Earlier it was something like this, store and next, but now it is only next, because this utility will work only with the unary functions, right? We can still provide these middleware functions access to the store, right? I'll just show you how. So but let me show you how the linking is happening here. let's say we are getting the array of three functions here, m1, m2 and m3. Let's assume when you are iterating through the array and you are at the last index, right? And what do we have at the last index? That is m3, right? So now what this compose utility is going to return, this is going to return something like this, right? So reduce will return at last this function, and when it returns this function, what b points to? So b points to m3, the last middleware function in the array, right, which you pass to the compose. And what this a points to? A points to the last function, right? The last function which is basically calling the second last element, right? Because in the last function b should points to the second last function, that is m2. And likewise whatever m2 return, we pass it to the previous function. So previous function will always capture it as a next, and this way these middleware functions will be linked to each other, right? So in the main.js we will have to convert this function into a unary function which accept only one argument. We return another nested function which will accept the next. Okay, so make the same changes here as well in the second middleware function. All right, and now if you go to the apply middleware, so we will provide the binding for the store to these middleware functions, right? So we can make use of the map, and we will simply call each middleware and pass it access to the store, right? So now if you see in the main.js, we have called all the middleware functions once. So when they are called, they will capture the store in its closure scope and they will return the inner function. And now what we will do, we will set up a chain of the middleware. We'll call our compose utility and we will pass the array of middlewares to this, right? And we will pass it store.dispatch, right? And now we can test our utility by providing one more middleware function. Let's rename it to middleware 2, and let's define one more middleware function and link it to here. Okay, so now let's see. Yeah, that's great. So this log is generated through the first middleware function in the middleware chain, then it goes to the second middleware, and then it finally the control goes to the function which basically calls the original store dispatch method, right? And the same logs are generated for the next set of actions. So I hope you get the gist of the apply middleware, like how it works and how it let you modify the default behavior of the dispatch. So that's all from this series. Let's see you in next video.